Every morning at the exact same time for the exact same 8 hours, millions of people used to do the exact same thing. Show up, sit at a desk, leave. That structure isn't dying quietly. It's caught in an actual fight right now, and most people only know one side of it. Your parents likely had one employer for most of their career. One badge, one desk, one clear line between work and not work, drawn by the clock on the office wall. That line is being erased and redrawn from multiple directions at once, and nobody involved fully agrees on where the new one should go. Start with the side everyone already knows. AI is eating the routine parts of office work. Data entry, first draft writing, basic analysis, scheduling, the tasks that used to justify paying someone to simply be present for 8 hours. Once a machine can do the routine 80% of a job in minutes, something changes. Being at your desk from 9 to 5 stops being the thing companies are actually paying for. They're paying for judgment, creativity, and problem solving instead, and none of those require a fixed chair at a fixed time for a fixed duration. That shift alone would be enough to strain the old model. But there's a second force pushing just as hard, and it's about cost, not technology. Companies increasingly prefer hiring for a specific project over hiring a full-time employee. A freelancer costs no health insurance, no retirement match, no severance, no long-term commitment if the work dries up. The numbers show this isn't a fringe trend anymore. Roughly 73 to 83 million Americans now do independent work in some form. That population has grown 3 times faster than traditional employment over the same stretch. On freelance platforms specifically, demand for AI-related skills grew 109% in a single year. 77% of business leaders say AI itself is increasing their appetite for specialized, temporary talent over permanent hires. Companies aren't necessarily eliminating the work. They're increasingly buying it in pieces instead of buying a whole person's calendar. Look at where the demand is actually concentrated. Full-stack web development makes up 42% of all global freelance project demand. AI engineering and prompt engineering specifically have seen demand climb over 1,200% since 2022. Specialists in that category now command roughly a 56% wage premium over other freelance work. This isn't low-skill gig work replacing careers. It's high-skill, specialized work, increasingly getting scoped as a project before anyone even considers posting it as a permanent job. Now, here's where the story most people have heard gets more complicated than they think. The popular version goes like this. Younger workers just want flexibility. Employers are being forced to adapt, and the office is basically over. That's only half true, and the other half is genuinely surprising. Look at what workers actually say they want. Gallup's most recent data found that only 6% of Gen Z employees want to work fully in person. But it also found that just 23% want to be fully remote either. The overwhelming majority, 71%, want hybrid specifically, a real mix of home and office, not one extreme or the other. Younger workers aren't rejecting the office itself. Some are actively drifting back toward it on their own, for a reason that has nothing to do with productivity. Loneliness. Nearly double the rate of older generations report feeling frequently isolated. And plenty say the office is where they actually get mentorship, feedback, and career growth, the kind that's hard to replicate over a chat window. So the workforce isn't demanding the death of the office. It's demanding control over how much of it they have to accept. There's real evidence behind that preference too, not just gut feeling. Freelancers report meaningfully better work-life balance than traditionally employed workers by a wide margin in most surveys, but there's a real cost hiding underneath that freedom. Only 40% of gig workers have access to employer-sponsored health insurance. Just 25% have dental coverage. A mere 5% have short-term disability coverage. the kind that protects you if you simply get sick for a few weeks. Freelancers also pay both the employer and employee share of Social Security and Medicare taxes themselves, a cost most traditional employees never even see broken out on their own paycheck. Flexibility, in other words, comes with a bill attached. Plenty of workers are choosing to pay it anyway. Which brings us to the other side of this fight, the side most 9-to-5 is dying videos leave out entirely. Employers are pushing back hard, and they're winning right now. The share of Fortune 100 companies requiring 5 full days in the office jumped hard, from 11% to 54% in a single year. That's not a small shift. That's a near total reversal of where things stood just 12 months earlier. Why now specifically? Not because RTO suddenly started working better, because hiring cooled sharply and workers simply have fewer other options to walk away to. One economist put it bluntly, what changed wasn't the argument for flexibility. It was leverage. The job market itself backs this up. U.S. employers added just 584,000 jobs in the most recent full year, the weakest total outside an actual recession since 2003. When workers have fewer places to go, mandates that would have triggered mass resignations 2 years earlier suddenly become survivable for employers to enforce. This isn't unique to any one company either. 9 out of 10 companies had implemented some form of return to office policy by the end of last year. More than a quarter require 5 full days. Another quarter require 4. And here's the part that should genuinely surprise you. Forcing everyone back doesn't even appear to help the companies doing it. A large-scale study of S&P 500 companies found that strict RTO mandates delivered zero measurable financial benefit. None. What they did deliver was a measurable exodus of senior, skilled, and diverse employees, along with hiring timelines that stretched 23% longer as a direct result. A separate randomized trial found something else worth knowing, published in one of the world's most rigorous scientific journals. Hybrid work produced identical performance outcomes to full-time office work, while cutting employee turnover by a third. So the actual picture isn't flexibility wins or the office wins, it's two models colliding. The data mostly favors one side. The leverage right now favors the other. Workers are responding to that mismatch in some genuinely creative ways. Some have started what's being called micro-shifting, technically complying with badge-in requirements, while doing as little actual in-person collaboration as they can get away with. Showing up, not necessarily showing up to work the way the mandate assumed they would. It's a quiet, low-grade standoff, playing out inside office buildings all over the country right now. Required office time increased by 12% over the past year, according to one workplace analytics firm. Actual attendance rose by only 1 to 3% over that same stretch. Badges are getting scanned. Desks are staying emptier than the policy assumes. Employees are complying with the letter of the mandate while quietly ignoring its spirit. So where does all of this actually leave the traditional 9 to 5? Not dead. Contested. The fixed 8-hour block at a fixed desk for a fixed employer is no longer the automatic default it was for your parents' generation. But it hasn't been fully replaced either. Ontario's government offers a small preview of how this might actually resolve. It spent years running a flexible pandemic-era work model for public employees. It's now phasing that model out entirely, moving staff back to full-time office attendance in stages. Governments and large employers, the institutions with the most leverage, are placing their bets on the office winning this fight. Smaller companies with less leverage over talent they can't easily replace are placing a different bet. It's being pulled apart from two directions at once. AI and cost pressure pulling work toward flexible, project-based arrangements. Employer leverage in a cooler job market, pulling some of it back toward rigid, full-time attendance, whether the data supports that or not. If you're trying to navigate this personally, here's the honest advice. It isn't flexibility is definitely coming. It isn't the office is definitely back either. It's narrower than that. Build skills that are genuinely valuable in project form, the kind that command a premium on their own, independent of any single employer's badge system. Because whichever side of this standoff eventually wins in your specific industry, that's the asset that survives either outcome. The traditional job isn't disappearing on a fixed schedule of its own. It's being renegotiated, one company, one mandate, one badge swipe at a time, and nobody currently knows exactly how it ends.